Katie tries to make friends with. The troll Vera says that most of the trolls at her school are used to being around people, but this troll says that she's been pulling away from them since the last time it happened. He even eats the food because he doesn't want to hurt her, to show that it's safe. Of course every student laughs at him as the group goes back to class and listens to the other guys talking about Kathy. They insult the troll. At first they call it slow and mean, but then they insult Katie. People say Katie won't even shower. The guy gets mad and tries to stop those guys from talking, but Oliver grabs her hand and tells them says to ignore it, wants to participate, but the trio is asking for a beating. The trio continues to tease him, saying he's trying to act like a troll to befriend him. A calm Katie rushes to class, happy to be on time, but the other three kids pick on her and wonder what's going on. But the girl asks her if she's turned into a troll, and forgot how to talk when they say that their classroom is for people, and that they need to put her back in her cage. Their behavior gets worse. Guy can't take it anymore, and wants to do something, but Oliver puts a spell on the three of them that makes them explode, and asks Guy if he wants to join. Hibia also joins them as expected. As it turns out, Oliver finishes everything with a huge spell, and they all get detention. As a matter of fact, they are all crazy. Guy is bragging that he dealt with 5 people, but Hibia's sent 10 people flying. We have no idea what happened, but it seems crazy. Chella knew that the 2 of them would be crazy, but she didn't think that Oliver would start it all. He says he's sorry, but Katie tells him it was her fault. She thinks that it happened because she couldn't say what she wanted to say. Oliver tries to make her feel better by telling her that she isn't to blame. All of this happened because he couldn't keep his feelings in check. Guy, on the other hand, still doesn't have a brain, but he's happy with how things turned out, and says that Oliver snapped at the right time. Katie finally smiles, and tells them thank you for keeping her safe. Chella agrees with what they did, but she is worried about how things are going in general. Most of the first-year students will now be against them, and Mr. Annoying will use this against Oliver and Hibia's in the duel. She doesn't think the fight will be fair. After getting out of jail, the group goes to the duel grounds. To fight Mr. Annoying, they have to use a spell to sharpen their swords before they can get in. Oliver tells them that if they ever feel in danger they should attack. They walk for a long time after stepping into a magic painting. Cello is worried because Mr. Annoying could just duel anywhere in the school's labyrinth if he wanted to. Pete is worried about being surprised, but Oliver says Mr. Annoying won't do that because he comes from a famous family. The door to the duel grounds is finally in sight. After they get through the door, they find themselves in a coliseum where a lot of students are looking down on them. Hibia and Oliver have to stand in the middle while the others watch from the stance. Oliver tells Chella to keep the others safe because he is worried that something bad might happen before they leave. The group wishes them good luck. The 2 then step into the middle when they hear that they will first watch a practice fight. Mr. Annoying walks in thinking he's the most interesting person on campus. He will fight 3 kobolds at the same time in the show battle. He pays attention to the first monster and uses a spell to cut off its arms and legs. He turns to the second one and tries to cut off the head and limbs with his sword. Hibia doesn't know what's going on, so she asks Oliver. He says that this is a kobold hunt, which is a traditional way for mages to hunt. People like Katie are against them now, so they don't happen very often, but as you probably guessed, they are using the last story in their favor. Mr. Boring tries to cool them down by asking if they need an explanation for this game, but Oliver wants to know what this guy is thinking. He challenged them to a fight and he wants to be Sal, and he tells Oliver that he knows his place because he won't get any credit for beating him in a simple duel because he's so weak. But the guy still thinks he's the last cookie in the pack, so he wanted to play 2-on-1. He can lose twice. I mean, he wants things to be fair. They take turns hunting the kobolds, and the killing side the most will win. Oliver thinks it's silly because he knows that after playing with Barbie, this is Mr. Annoying's favorite game. Plus Hibia had never even heard of kobolds before. Oliver thinks that letting Mr. Annoying win will help them get back together. But I know what you're thinking, where's the third kobold? The guy in charge of everything attacks the poor animal when it tries to go back to its cage. This is on purpose because Katie starts crying when she sees how cruel this is. The supervisor keeps abusing the kobold, who tries to run away, but another person attacks it with an explosion while badly hurt. The kobold tries to bite this guy's foot, but he avoids it and steps on its head instead. The other students start making fun of the situation, which makes Hibia angry. He yells that's enough, and the whole coliseum goes quiet. She doesn't see what's so funny about what's happening. She doesn't understand why they want to make someone fight who doesn't want to. She also doesn't understand why they have to compete to see how many people they can hurt and kill. And the worst part is that everyone is laughing from a safe place because they don't have the courage to fight. She basically tells them that they are all adopted. It turns out that the students are not very smart since they throw bottles at Hibia, even though one of the bottles hits her in the Head she doesn't care about. The insults and target practice she tells Oliver to go back because this fight isn't worth their blades he planned. Everything so of course Mr. Annoying doesn't want it. Some of Hibia's other classmates try to stop her from leaving and tell her to come back. They tell her to be quiet or they will beat her. I swear these kids' jokes need to get better. Of course Hibia wants to beat them up more than anything else. In the meantime, 2 students are moving the stones onto the battlefield. The person who is letting them go tries to scare the monster, but this one seems different. A second later the same guy is thrown away while he is badly hurt. This monster, which turns out to be a Garuda, beats the supervisors. Oliver asks if this is Mr. Annoying's idea, but it turns out that Mr. Wannabe Chad is wetting his pants. The mean supervisors become a punching bag. The cool students start running away and crying like babies, but the best part is when the kobolds show up and kill some of the students. The Garuda is having the time of its life beating the students up, but Oliver is worried because the Garuda is a divine beast familiar and they haven't reached the level where they can beat it. Suddenly words appear above the monster asking them to feel what it's like to be the prey. The doors are locked so the students can't leave, and when the Garuda is done having fun he goes to Mr. Annoying. Let's be fair, he said. I love his face at the moment. Oliver tells him that if he gets scared he will be the first one to be caught. The guy backs out and the Garuda comes after him. Habia steps in front of the Garuda and blocks it with her sword just as he's about to ask which came first, the chicken or the egg. She has woken up her inner psychopath and now she wants chicken soup. Alright, I'll stop. The monster takes a step back and they get ready to fight. Hibia's hair starts to turn white and she runs ahead. She blocks the first blow, but the Garuda is faster and tries to hit her. She blocks attacks and tries to make some of her own. Guy and Chella are still fighting some kobolds in the stands and the guy says they need help. Chella gets angry and tells him to hold the Hibia. Katie still wants to help, but Chella casts a spell on her and knocks out the kobold behind them and reminds them of her promise he did to Oliver to protect them and told them to fight with the stones. When they come back, they can trust their friend Hibia, and the monster still continues to strike until Garuda decided to fly to the monster. Then his faster cast a spell to help him move, and then it runs straight into Hibia. She can't get away, so Oliver saves her by pushing her away with a spell. When the Garuda notices Oliver, he uses a combination of his earth spells to fly into the monster. He avoids the Garuda's attack and comes close to cutting off its leg. The monster moves around it and hurts Oliver. After that the Garuda tries to kill him, but Hibia blocks. Oliver stands up and takes a step back to let his wounds heal. Mr. Annoying hid and asked Oliver how he could fight. Oliver tells him that he and Hibia are scared, but Hibia isn't because she's having the time of her life as a warrior. Oliver wants to help her because of this. He wants to show her how to live a normal, healthy life. Oliver goes back to the arena after he finishes the healing spell. He tells Hibia that she wanted to see how Mr. Annoying fights. Oliver sees that Hibia is having trouble with the monster, so he uses a fire spell to help her. Then he tells her that they can't go on and that they need to finish quickly. His plan is simple. He will open a way for Hibia to kill the beast. When they start going in different directions, Hibia runs into the Garuda again. The monster flies up to avoid her blade and starts to cast the same spell as before. Oliver takes this chance to cast a lightning spell on the monster, which knocks it down. Hibia gets ready to attack, but the Garuda is able to get back on its feet. The monster uses the spell and rushes at her, but Oliver steps in front of it ready to give his life to protect her. When the monster is about to hit Oliver, Mr. Annoying finally gets some balls and uses the spell to push it away. Hibia runs toward the monster and manages to cut off its head. Several students ended up hurt. I wish they would never get better. Oliver thanks Mr. Annoying for his help, and Hibia comes to say that his spell was amazing and that he saved them. Even though the guy is still arrogant, he is still shaking. Oliver tries to make him feel better and the guy is still proud he saved them. He's still shaking. Oliver tries to make himself feel better and the man tells him he's afraid of losing and his family says he's ashamed. They want to know how to fight the stronger ones undaunted by the enemy. Hibia responds like a typical samurai, and Oliver tells him that he is against him. Then he says that most of the students ran away, but the gentleman stayed to fight a boring battle, and he always remembers the bravery and honor of the gentleman. Annoying Chad. They help him up and Hibia calls him a friend. He ends up crying like a baby. Of course the rest of the group comes to check on Oliver and Hibia, and Chella tells Andrew that it's been a long time since last seen him doing something